Hi, this is Marlon Lefebvre, you guys, and you are listening to Wild Man and Steve.
You are about to listen to the intersection of faith, talk, and music. The Wild Man and Steve show starts right now.
You know, Steve, I remember. I actually do remember when several years ago, somebody pointed out, and it was advertised actually several years ago, Cheers was having their 100th episode. And that was a big deal. And of course, you and I are here tonight to celebrate the 100th episode of the Wild Man and Steve show, classic Christian rock podcast, metal talk, Up on This Rock, all the different episodes that we've done, different series that we've done. But, I was just thinking today about all the other things that have happened 100 times. And that's what came to my mind was the Cheers 100th episode. I guess that was a big deal.
Well, it's appropriate. I think it's an appropriate comparison because I think that our show, like Cheers, it is a place where you want to go, where everybody knows your name, right? And you can come, you can listen to the Wild Man and Steve. It's like going to Cheers. It's like Norm, Sammy, and you just kind of have that feel. You kind of have that vibe. I think it's an appropriate comparison.
Well, yeah, and ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to tell you what just happened is he did it again. So yeah, he did it again. Mr. Segway struck again. Yes, he struck again. You just did it again. We didn't even have that plan, folks, if you couldn't tell. And he just went right for the jugular and said, hey, I'm going to go ahead and just make this happen. And, I'm beginning to think that since we started the show, that being Mr. Segway is in your blood.
I think that's right. I do. I think that's right. But I think people have also got to recognize that you and I we're on the same wavelength. Okay. We got this vibe. Okay. I mean, we're like Sonny and Cher. All right. We're like the Captain and Tennille. Okay, I mean, we're just, constantly, we're in sync, baby.
Sonny and Cher.
Or the Captain and Tennille.
Wait a minute. You just said Sonny and Cher, and then at the end you called me baby.
Well, if we are Sonny and Cher, it's very clear that I would be Sonny. Or the Captain.
What about Captain Kangaroo and Mr. Green Jeans?
Oh, I love that show. I always used to watch that show when I visit my grandma.
Yeah. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, this has been great opening for our 100th episode, but we need to clarify we are celebrating our 100th episode. This is actually not our 100th episode. We're a few past 100.
Oh, it's in the rearview mirror.
Yeah,
I can see the 100th episode in the rearview mirror.
Yeah, but we thought we would, take some time to cherish the moment. And just as I've seen bands do at a concert, you ever been at a concert, Steve, where the crowd is just really off the hook, just cheering, and then the band actually says, you know what, let's just take a moment and just soak this up right here, right? So that's what we're doing here, ladies and gentlemen. We're just taking a moment.
Because if I can be honest, really, precious and few are the moments we two can share. So, I don't know why I'm into this 70s soft rock vibe all of a sudden. I don't know.
You just can't move away from us. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who are still with us, who have not stopped listening, as you probably saw advertised, this is not just Steve and I talking about 100 episodes, although it is. But we do have accolades that we are going to share because several of our guests that we had on the show honored us with statements of appreciation, statements of criticism, statements of busting on us. Even a couple of them threw in a couple of jokes to see if we could get them. And so we're going to listen to those and stay tuned because we have it from guys like John Schlitt, Michael Sweet, Mark Middleberg, Brian Duncan. I mean, the list just goes on of who we have here. Okay.
Well, and can we just say right away, I mean, all seriousness, and I think we're probably going to come back to this over the course of this episode. Thank you. We love our fans so much. We thank you guys, but seriously, thank you to all these wonderful guests that we've had across all these episodes. I mean, you guys have made the show. The show really is about you and connecting you guys with fans with you guys, and everybody with Jesus, as we say. And to have a bunch of you guys send us clips just means the absolute world to us. So truly, thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, 3 years, going on 3 years, whenever it was when we started, going into our third year now. When we first started, I don't think that either of us thought we would see 100 episodes, honestly. And I know there's other podcasts out there who have, 150, 200, maybe, those big ones, they have like 125 episodes.
Yeah, even like 107.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, big numbers.
No, I mean, there's others out there that have thousands and thousands, and they have downloads. But what's amazing, folks? I want everybody to stop and think about this for a moment. When we started this, first of all, I didn't know Steve. He didn't know me. We just started this, and when we started it, it was kind of like almost let's just see what happens. And he's a full-time teacher. I'm a full-time pastor. We both have families. We do this on the side. And if it wasn't for the money, we wouldn't do it. Right, Steve? If it wasn't for that $1 million contract that we got last year, I'd say that's it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
But no, so we do this on the side. So,
yeah.
So doing this on the side is amazing. To think that we've gotten this far, 100 episodes and the opportunity for us to interview great guests. And I'll just say this before we start playing the accolades, before we start playing the clips, that you and I have shared multiple times we have shared this, that we just use this podcast as an excuse to talk to some of the guys we love. The fanboys, and I will tell you, during that first episode, when we were interviewing our first artist, soon as he came on, my heart jumped through my whatever, and all of a sudden I felt like I was 15 again, getting an autograph, and it was hard for me to even find the words to say. Hey Steve, I'm on a mission.
Oh really?
Yeah, I am determined, mind you, to make you a pet head. You mentioned before that since the Wild Man and Steve show began, you have grown as a Petra fan. Am I right?
You're right, but I'm still not as obsessed as you are.
Well, let me ask you this. What do you think it would take to get you there?
Look, I'm not sure that's possible. I mean, you had a different experience growing up that I just didn't have with them, which is great, but it's not like we can go back in time.
Would you welcome with me from Nashville, Tennessee, the Beat the System Tour 1985 with Petra.
Dude, this concert is going to rock.
You're telling me. I'm telling you, man, welcome to the world of being a pet head.
Okay, here we go.
Man, after that concert, one thing is for sure, I am definitely a pet head.
Oh, yeah. Wild Man? Wild Man, you kind of zoned out for a minute. Where were you?
Sorry, man. I was captured in time and space.
You too can be captured in time and space by experiencing Petra's DVD and full concert CD with that title. Enjoy this monumental concert from 1985, which literally let the world know who Petra was. This is for all you pet heads like Wildman, and for people like me, almost pet heads. Legendary concert by a legendary band. Pick yours up at girdermusic.com today. And be sure to use the code WildmanandSteve for 10% off your entire order. Go there today. Wildman, you still with me? Oh, folks, he's leaving me again. Wildman. Oh, Wildman.
But anyhow, first one right now, we want to honor a gentleman by the name of Jay Smith, who goes by Old Smith, who, as you know, he's a musician. He's also a podcast editor. He does his own podcast as well, which is called A Little Out West. And he is our podcast editor. And it was amazing that day when he messaged me and he said, hey, I could help you out. Don't take this the wrong way. The sound could be better if you did this. And he jumped right in. And so he does our editing. He sent us a clip and I'm going to play it right now.
Hey, so just wanted to say hello. And this is Old Smith. And I'm just giving a shout out to these guys. Who is it now? Wildman and Steve or something. Anyway, they said it was their 100th episode. So, yippee!
You know, here's the thing about that clip from Jay, and we love you, Jay. We appreciate you so much. Jay's involvement in this show, to me, is a great example of really what has been guiding this whole thing, which is truly the hand of God. This is no brag. This is not like, hey, you know, we're so great. You know, it's a divine thing. When we started doing this, and I distinctly remember having a conversation with you. We were thinking about, well, what's this going to be? Blah, blah, blah. And both of us, I think, we both like to plan things. We like to organize things in our own lives, our professional lives. And we had a sense early on, just let God do with this whatever he wants. Mm-hmm. I think we both approached it very much with a palms up kind of attitude. This isn't something that we are wanting to make happen. It's not something that we've got this really deeply preconceived notion. It's got to be this way. We just said, Lord, this is yours. Whatever you want to do with it. And he has blessed so much. And one of those ways is with Jay. So exactly as you said, for him to say, this guy on the internet, right? We didn't know him personally, but through Twitter, we got to know him. And he says, hey, I've got something here. I got a skill here. I'd be happy to lay this at the feet of the Lord and serve this way. And so just a great testament to what God has done. He provided so many ways for this show. And so truly, Jay, appreciate you, brother.
Yeah, I would agree with that. He's done amazing work and tremendous support for us. And it's just been exciting. And again, wasn't even planned. He just came alongside us and started to do that. But I will say, based on that accolade, he needs to work on his memory a little bit so he can remember the name of our show.
Well, yeah, you would think that the guy who edits the show would know the name of the show, but hey. You know.
Yeah, sorry we didn't. Maybe we should have mentioned that to you before you sent that in there, Jay. All right, so now here is Josh Walsh from the Jesus Music Project.
Congratulations on the 100th episode, Wildman and Steve show. This is Josh Walsh, producer of the Jesus Music. Loved being on your show. Keep up the great work. Keep being crazy, and good luck.
So I remember my son and I went to see the movie at the theater. And what was that have been? Some fall of 2021, somewhere.
I believe October, November.
October 2021. Yeah. And just, you know, obviously love the movie. Couldn't wait to see it. It's fantastic. Immediately we did a review of it, I think, on our blog. And then this is one of those I always refer to, you know, bag the elephant kind of moments. I mean, you know, like the big game hunters, man. we got Josh Walsh, one of the producers of that. And it was so honored to have him on the show and for him to talk about some of the stuff beyond what we get to see in the film. That was so cool.
It was amazing. You mentioned to me about the film. We knew it was coming out, and I just sent him a quick email. Went to the website, just sent him a quick email, said, "Hey, this," and he just responds and says, "Sure." And next thing we know, that week he's on our show, and that was
and you know, obviously his goal and ours is very similar in that obviously we also want to promote new artists as well, but that keeping the classic music alive, and we're kind of seeing that in different venues as well. You know, keeping this alive, keeping that alive, and keeping that classic Christian rock story alive. That's what he did with the film. Obviously, he's got another one that they're working on, kind of a sequel to that. So hopefully we can get Josh back on the show.
Yeah. It's amazing the people we have been able to meet because of this show. And before I go any further, Anthony Martinez, who is in charge of classicchristianrockzine.com. If it was not for Anthony, folks, if you see the website and you love the website, if you see our logo and everything, that's all from Anthony. The Classic Christian Rock podcast is how this all started. And so we want to give a shout out to Anthony. He would have given us a clip, but he does not speak English. So that's one of the drawbacks there. So we wanted to say thank you to him, and we are still partnering with him. He does our designs, he does everything you see, and we're still partnering as the Christian Rock Podcast under the umbrella of the Wild Man and Steve Show.
You know, one of the things so cool about with Anthony, and it's been so neat, and part of this has to do with the venue or the medium here with the internet and Zoom and so forth. But we've been able to connect with people all over the world. And Anthony is one of those guys, you know, does not, we both live in the United States. He does not. And yet we've been able to connect with him, and he has blessed us so much. And it's been so neat to be connected with him and what he's doing with classic Christian rock.
Yeah, absolutely.
How it makes you feel when the prodigal come home. I wonder how it makes you feel when he'd rather be at his own. I wonder what it's like for you when a lamb has gone astray. I wonder what it's like for you when your children disobey. It must be like another voice stuck in your brow.
All right, so here we go. The next one.
G'day, Steve and Wild Man. This is Lindsay Hall from On Rock, the Petrospective podcast, saying congratulations for reaching a full century of episodes. What an achievement. My brother and I, David, can't thank you enough for the way that you have connected us with one of our lifelong heroes and a man that we have admired so much and whose ministry has meant a great deal to us. And I can say certainly that I have grown in appreciation for the Christian metal scene because of your podcast. So keep it up, guys. Can't wait to hear what comes next.
Yes, that's Lindsay Hall from the Petrospective podcast. We had him and his brother on, and we were able to introduce them to Bob Hartman from Petra. And I just thought that was a great segue again, because you mentioned from all over the world. They're from Australia, and able to connect with them.
Well, and you know, we keep saying over and over again, we've already even referenced it in this episode, we like to connect fans with artists, artists with fans, and everybody with Jesus. And that episode was so special because you had set this up to have Bob Hartman in the wings. Right? They had no idea. And so there we are, we're interviewing these guys and talking about Petra, and it's great, blah, 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 blah. And then you're like, well, we got this little surprise for you. And I think that those guys were just blown away. And it was so cool then for us just to sit back and let them ask Bob the questions that they wanted to ask, not only for their show, but again, like us, representative of all the fans. And so as a fan representing fans, I just loved watching that happen. So
now we don't, as you know, we don't publish the video. We only publish the audio, but it was really something to see their expressions on their face when they beat Bob. They were stunned, literally. That was just exciting just to be able to do that. And if you haven't heard of it, guys, they're on every podcast platform. The Petrospective, two tremendous Petra fans that are going through each album and reviewing it, and they just do a great job. And we just love Dave and Lindsay, and we consider them part of the Wild Man and Steve show, as we consider everybody, I suppose.
Absolutely,
the Wild Man and Steve show, but we're the only ones that get paid. Yeah, you got your perk this year, right, Steve? You got your perk?
Yeah, the only perk I've got is the one in my name.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Yeah, the perk ends. Yes. All right, here we go.
Hey, this is Steve from the band The Word 66. I just want to say a quick congratulations on this momentous occasion to Wildman and Steve for their 100th episode. That is so awesome. You guys are such a blessing to all of us Christian rockers as well. I had the honor and privilege of being on with you guys just recently and had a great time. And I just want to thank you for that as well. So just a quick happy birthday and many, many, many more. God bless you guys.
You know, we were just mentioning that we also like to promote the work of up-and-coming musicians and new artists and so forth. And the Word 66 is they've got some background. They've got some stuff out there, but they don't go say as far back as Petra, for example. And so that they kind of fit that category to me. And I love their music. And remind me, how did we actually get connected and learn of their music in the first place?
We actually got them through Reverb Nation.
Reverb Nation, yes, that's right.
That was
right,
one
Reverb Nation.
We played them on Metal Talk first before we actually had them on the show. Yeah,
and I think it was in that early first season of ours where we were doing Metal Talk, which we were doing a kind of a live thing.
Yes.
And
now we do a dead thing. Now we do a dead
thing.
Yeah, we did the live thing. I gave that up.
Well, we're a couple of deadheads, and. But yeah, it's right. We're using their music there, and then to be able to actually, have him on later was so cool. So yeah,
it was. It's really great just to hear all of these guys, and regardless of whatever level they're at, just hear they're aspiring to be great musicians, for God. All the different things that they're doing is it's encouraging. It really is.
Hey, this is Peter Dankelson from Pete's Diary. Big shout out to Wildman and Steve on 100 episodes. And also, I hope you guys have figured out the saying, "That's sick," really is a compliment. Congratulations, guys.
So were you aware of that, Steve, that sick is a compliment?
Actually, yes, because again, as a high school teacher, I gotta stay hip with the lingo, right?
You're groovy, all right. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really groovy. You want to talk about something that's sick is Pete Dankelson's just mad skills on the guitar. We were honored to have him on the show, but you go on YouTube, you'll find videos of Pete playing, other artists who have been around Pete and watched him play and have just been blown away by this young man's talent. It is something fierce.
And that trio that he's doing now, the album that they were doing, I don't know if it's done yet or not. I'm thinking it is. I haven't heard for sure. I have to look that up because I wanted to follow up with him on that, because just especially for his young age and what he's able to do on that guitar. And as we have several on our show that talk about the difficulties they've been through as a musician, yet they continue to move to press on. He's definitely an example of that at a very young age. Pete's Diary, tremendous guitarist. You see him posting things. I mean, he's playing right alongside AC/DC like it's nothing. So great. He does a great job. And I'm kind of partial to that because, guitarists are the best thing in the world. There is no other instrument as far as I'm concerned.
I'm rather fond of the ukulele myself, but okay.
Yeah, I am too. Just with distortion and reverb.
Exactly.
Hey, Wild Man and Steve, Ray Roherborn here. Just want to congratulate you guys on your 100th episode. You guys are doing amazing work, and it is such a blessing to be a listener of all these incredible conversations you guys are sharing. Keep it rocking, and God bless.
Yes, Mr. Roherborn, Ray, as we had him on the show, and he's the one that is the producer. Yes, he also just released that tremendous EP, Redeemed, which is great. And have you heard, Steve, yet Live Life Anyway from them yet?
I don't know that I have.
You must do that. And I just want to put this out there, and I don't want to break any confidence between Ray and myself, but I will tell you this. If you listen to it and look at the lyrics, he's hitting a cultural issue head on.
Oh,
this song. Yes.
Yes, I do know.
And it is tremendous. And Killian, Mark Killian, the guitarist, singer, also an artist, he's doing the vocals on this song, and him and Ray and Stawinski together, they just make a tremendous team. I even texted Ray after this happened, and I said, you guys just need to stay together, you and Killian, because Killian does a great job on this. And so just a tremendous job that he does on Live Life Anyway, ladies and gentlemen. That will get you up and moving.
All we need is some common sense. No TV doctors to fill our heads. Seems every day they keep changing their mind. I'm not a scientist, but I'm not blind. If you're locking kids away, then you're out of your mind. I'm not running anymore. It's time to see. It's time to see how it's gonna be. How it's gonna be. Yeah. It's alright, it's okay. Even though we all die, well, I'm gonna live life anyway. My way.
This is Mark Andrew Speck from the band Sweet Crystal, and everybody in Sweet Crystal is so excited to learn that the Wildman and Steve show is about to broadcast its 100th episode. Way to go, guys. That's the very definition of sweet. The Wildman and Steve show, sanctified and never sanctimonious. And as they say everywhere in this Latin-speaking music world of ours, dolces. Ipsum dolces certe.
All right, Mr. Latin teacher, help us out there.
So what I remember, I get where I'm watching the screen here, and I knew you were getting ready to cue up Q's music from Sweet Crystal, and I remember that interview so well because, and I don't remember how it came out, that Mark had studied Latin, and it's like at that point it was one of those episodes. You and I have those from time to time where you connect with the artist and it's like, I might as well go eat a Twinkie, right? Because you guys are going to be talking guitar tech stuff. Or I connect with the artist and you might as well go take a break. And I could have sat there and talked with Mark about Latin, for the rest of the episode. But Sweet Crystal, this is the band. I mean, these guys have got more awards than they know what to do with. Mm-hmm. Up in Michigan, they've been rocking it for close to 40 years?
Yeah.
I think.
Which was a surprise when I heard of them, because they're somewhat under the radar because they're not globally known. They're just locally. They've only been focused on their local area, but they've been doing this for such a long time, and incredible work that they do.
And it brings to the point, and we've said this over and over and over again on our show, these artists that are so incredibly talented bring such a great product to the fans, but they may have not gotten the fame because they were completely sold out for Jesus. What meant the most to them was to bring the gospel of Jesus Christ through music. And as Sweet Crystal has their tagline, changing the world one song at a time, or reaching the world one song at a time. And that's what they're doing. And so, yeah, they may not have the universal recognition that a Van Halen does, right? But you know what? They've got they've sowed eternal seeds with people. And so that is truly sweet.
Yeah, it is. It is. Great guy. Tremendous time together. If I remember correctly, I surprised both of you at the end of that episode, because once I found out he was Latin and you guys were talking that up, and then throughout the whole episode, I quickly started doing some searches and I was able to close the show in Latin and surprise both of you.
Yes, you did.
Don't ask me to do that again because I didn't look it up again right now. But yes, but I did that.
Hey, you're listening to the 100th episode of the Wild Man and Steve Show. This is Bryan Carman, guitarist and songwriter from We Are Resolute. And long live Christian rock and roll. Woo!
If you're a fan of the Wild Man and Steve Show, you're probably going to get this reference here. Did we just hear from Max Headroom? Bryan Carman, man, We Are Resolute. What I love about Bryan is the passion the guy has for making music. Got quality songs out there. He's tapped into the likes of Dale Thompson. From Brides, connected with him. He's just, and again, one of these guys is getting going, right? His music is on the rise, but he's slugging it out. He's paying his dues. He's getting it done. And man, and what a great name. We Are Resolute, great acronym, WAR, right? You can do a lot with that in a metal sort of way.
Yeah. And what I was encouraged by, and he wasn't the only one, but he was one of the main reasons why I got back into being serious about being a musician again. Because many people don't realize that, years ago, before I went into ministry, I thought that's what I was going to do for my whole life. So I gave up guitar. I played it just every now and then. So I had him on the show, and all of a sudden he starts talking, and I realized we're at similar age. And I'm thinking, okay, he must be played his whole life. And then he's like, yeah, I didn't start playing until just a few years ago. And I'm going, whoa, hey, if that's happening, then there's an opportunity for me. And so that's why I started getting back into it a little bit. So I appreciate his encouragement in that way. And in the last episode, the last interview we had with him, I remember after the show was over, I started talking to him, and he started giving me some more advice on how to make connections for album and production, and with the record companies, and all those different things. So the one thing about him is he definitely just wants to help out anybody. He would not turn anybody away who's asking for help or guidance. And he comes with an amazing story, as he shared in our last interview, that everything just kind of lined up. Like, he didn't do much, similar to how our show went. He didn't do much, but all of a sudden this happened, this door opened, this person donated money. Then the next thing you know, he's talking to Dale Thompson, and boom, and then it starts happening, and just amazing. It's very encouraging to hear stories like that. It's just incredible. But I will also add this, because I want to let everybody know that there is one clip at the end. Now, we want you to hear all of these, because we're going to hear from several of our guests, and we honor and appreciate all of them. We have some huge names that left us some, but there's one that is just off the charts killer. We're probably going to laugh about 10 minutes after it's played. But to answer the question I was putting out there earlier, Steve, if we could sum up this show in one word, I'm going to go first. Fun. There is absolutely no question for me This has been nothing but fun. I enjoy every episode. That's why we can have a clip from a musician that sounds like Max Headroom, because he knows, what do? We have fun on this show. This show is fun. We talk about Christ. We talk about music. We talk about mission. We talk about everything. But one thing's for certain, I enjoy it so much that it's fun. It's not, I mean, would you call this work?
No, this is it's absolutely fun. And I would argue that is very much a proper description of the Christian life. Now, let's be very clear. There are Christians that have suffered from the time of Stephen, right? The first martyr, all the way to today. There are Christians that are suffering mightily for the faith, that are being imprisoned and killed and losing their jobs and losing their homes for the sake of Jesus Christ. So let's be very clear about that. We're not saying this in a frivolous way. And yet, Jesus is the way, the truth, and there's something else there. Oh yeah, the life. Jesus is the life. And when you find life, you're going to find joy. You're going to find humor, and even in some of the darkest situations. And so, yeah, this show should be fun if it's centered around him. And yeah, it's a blast.
Yeah, it is. And I keep going back as a minister. I keep going back to when people say that the Bible's boring. Number one, I say, well, you never read the Old Testament if that's the case. But number two, all the humor that is throughout the scripture.
Oh, absolutely.
It's one of my favorites is David and Goliath, the battle, and you had the army on the hill over here, army on the hill over here. Then the writer just has to put in there, and the valley was between them, right there. I mean, there's humor all throughout this stuff, folks. So if Christianity is not boring, and all of our guests would agree with that, I'm afraid.
Absolutely.
They would see that. Not afraid. Why did I say I'm afraid? Man, that was just a slip. Was that a segue? Was that a segue to something?
It was something. I don't know.
You're Mr. Segue. Help me out here. Get me out of this. Get me out.
Hey, this is Roberto from Icons of Industry, and you're listening to the Wild Man and Steve Show. Just wanted to say thanks, and we really appreciate the platform and the opportunity, especially for bands like ours, to be on a podcast with, bands like Striper and Bloodgood and other, more known bands. So may the Lord continue to bless your ministry and to continue to grow it as you honor his name. And congratulations on the big 100.
That right there shows what I love about interviewing Roberto, and honestly looking at some of his band's stuff. When I see his stuff online, whether it's on YouTube or on Facebook, there's so much a visual element with these guys. It's creative. Listen to that. That was he brought a creativity just to that little plug right there. Icons of Industry, they explore different sounds, different styles, just wildly creative, and I love it, man. And they explore some really great topics lyrically as well. This is a band, all seriousness, man. If you're new to the show or checking them out, check these guys out. Icons of Industry. You'll be surprised.
Yeah, and I remember interviewing him, and I remember being encouraged about he had standards set forth that he wanted musically as well as what he wanted for the members of the band. And that's encouraging in our world today, because we see a lot of that going away, where it's like, well, he wanted to do it, so I let him, even though I didn't think it was good or whatever. But there were certain, not anybody can just go up to him and say, I want to be in your band, and he's going to say yes, which is encouraging when somebody has that ability to say, hey, this isn't for everybody. There's standards that we want to keep here. We're here to honor Christ, and that's all.
Hey, Wild Man and Steve, it's Metal Mike from the 80s Glam Metal Cast. Whoa, your podcast made it to 100 episodes? This is sure proof that prayer works, right? Haha, just kidding, man. Hey, awesome job spreading the word of Christian rock and metal. Great job spreading the word of Jesus to all your listeners out there. Hey, hope we can collaborate again in 2022 like we did in the past. And I just want to tell you, keep the fire burning, pun intended, and rock on!
Metal Mike, 80s Glam Metal Podcast.
If I'm not mistaken, that was our first crossover, if you will, where we had him on our show, he had us on his show. And that was so cool. Love what he's doing. Obviously, we are focused primarily on Christian music. We've had a secular artist or two on ourselves, but primarily Christian. But there's a lot of overlap for us because that heyday for us really was in the 80s, as you think about so many of the big Christian bands becoming big in the 80s. Well, there's a lot of big secular bands as well. And so Mike covers those. And that was just so much fun. Again, fun to have that interaction with him.
It was great. He reached out to us about collaborating, and we did that episode where we focused on Stryper and their 80s time and even their second run that they've been doing. I will just throw out just one little bone to pick with you. I have several to pick with you. So I just kind of like pick and choose which one I'm going to do here and there. But I know he invited you to be on his podcast to talk about Whitesnake. And I never told you this before, but I listened to that episode. And he introduced it, and he said this. We have Steve here from the Wild Man and Steve show. And he said, "Hey, Steve, what's Wild Man doing right now?" And if I remember correctly, I think you said something like, "I think he's in his room doing his homework." Now, do you remember saying anything like that?
Well, we must have a really bad connection. I couldn't hear what you said just now. Scratch, static, scratch. I'm sorry, I couldn't hear what you said.
Bag of chips.
Yeah, I kind of, I guess maybe I threw you under the bus on that one. I will say I was well, it was fun. Again, as a fanboy and of the band Whitesnake, I still absolutely geek out over Whitesnake, and so it was cool to talk about that on his show. And
yeah.
Although I will say one thing about that, he does something that we don't with regard to his podcast.
Gets paid.
He actually no, he actually plans what he's going to say.
You don't do
that? He actually prepares for us. Yeah.
You don't do that? Because I spend hours. You don't.
Yeah, no.
Some of our listeners right now are saying, wow, really? Others are going, you could tell.
Hey, this is Luke Easter. I just wanted to congratulate Wildman and Steve on their 100th episode of their awesome podcast. Thank you so much for being a light for the gospel of Jesus and for giving people like me a platform to communicate with people and reach a wider audience. All the best to you guys. Keep it going. Love what you do. Thank you so much.
Now, with all the ones that all of them are similar. You hear a lot of these guests say similar things, but he just articulated, I would say, the purpose of the show. As he said, to allow people like me to come on to get a broader, a broader reach, a broader
audience, yeah.
A broader audience. That's it. That's why we're here. That's what this show's for. I mean, you and I get a lot out of it because we're fanboys and we love doing it, but the artist, the whole purpose is how can we help them? How can we get their message out, their music out so that others can hear about them? And we're hoping that just from being on our show, that you gain at least a few more fans from being on our show. And I've said this before, Steve, and I guess I'll say it this way, that the goal of the show is to become the Rolling Stone magazine of the 1980s. Because of the Rolling Stone magazine of the 1980s, if you could make it onto the cover of Rolling Stone, you were in as a band, right?
Yeah.
So I would love it if you could make it on the Wild Man and Steve show. You are in as a band.
True, but in all seriousness, I think if you listen to any band you hadn't heard of them before or had forgotten about them, and you listen to them again because of this show, then that's what makes it worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it does. It makes it worth it. When I have to put up with you all this for 100, I thought about this. Maybe you did, Steve. I thought about this. 100 times I have put up with you.
See, that doesn't bother me, Wild Man, because, and you keep making reference to us getting paid. I do get paid. Your wife actually pays me to hang out with you. She said my husband needs a friend, and would you hang out with him once a week? And I said, you know what, lady, I got stuff I got to do, but for a modest fee, I will. And yeah.
So that explains those strange, unique texts. I say, I got to go. Why? Steve just texted me and said we need to do a podcast.
Hey, Wildman and Steve, it's Benny Hester here. Wildman, happy 100th to you. Unbelievable. You don't look a day over 94, no matter what Steve says. Well, seriously, congratulations to the two of you, and happy 100th anniversary episode for the Wildman and Steve show.
I love it. I love the busting on us. That is so funny. That was a cool episode. I remember when we had Benny on the show. You talk about going from helping the up and coming folks. Here's an established artist, right? This is a guy who goes back to the day, and I'm not sure, but I think Mark Middleberg, our mutual friend, Christian apologist, Mark Middleberg got us connected with Benny, and had a connection there, and so made that connection for us. But that was again another one of those kind of bag the elephant moments. I thought to have really one of the founding fathers, if you will, of Christian rock music.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I remember listening to him as a teenager, and he was a household name with Christian contemporary music. And it was just an honor to have him. Just the fact that he would be on our show was amazing. So yeah. But yeah, so I do want to get into that, whatever you said about me looking, whatever, not a day over 94, whatever you said, but I don't want to waste time now to get into that, because I know, people always talk, you always bring up how much I'm busting on you folks. 100 times, okay, before and after, okay, I've dealt with it. Yep.
The thing is, you've got no proof of that, because you always had the recording off at that point. So you've got no proof for our fans that I've ever said anything mean like that. You have no proof.
That's all that matters, huh? Just the proof, right? Nothing about your heart or anything like that, or your own conscience or anything.
I'm looking for evidence that demands a verdict,
Hey, yeah. Doesn't surprise me. Yeah.
This is Michael Drive, and you're watching Wildman and Steve. I like to have it on as a nightlight when cooking a romantic dinner for me and my flying V guitar. Congratulations, you two, for surpassing 100 episodes. What would I do without you? I'd have to turn the lights back on. Night-night. God bless you both.
Talk about creativity, I tell you.
Oh, my word. Well, creativity, yes. I mean, that was hilarious and such a great blurb. But I remember when we had Michael on, he had just come out with the Gale Force album. Mm-hmm. And we were talking about that. And I remember, again, talking about the creativity, pushing new musical directions, different styles, things that he was trying to do, and I don't mean that like trying and didn't succeed, but just things that he was experimenting with, trying to do. It was such quality stuff. And so that was such a fun episode to have Michael on, and what a great blurb there.
Yeah, it was. And I really appreciated having him on. And again, just somebody that I listened to a lot. We're back with his Barren Cross days, and just excited to be able to even have him on. Was powerful and was amazing. And encouraging. But that creativity is amazing. The flying V guitar he's talking about is that classic one that he's had from the beginning, that he showed it to us on the show, that he's had this for a very long time. So
and let's be honest, if you had a guitar like that, wouldn't you cook that guitar a romantic dinner?
Next week, the dynamic duo returns. Wildman and Steve return next week with the second half of the 100th anniversary episode. Stay tuned.
The Wildman and Steve Show is now partnering with New Release Today. Find out more about them at newreleasetoday.com. And don't forget to check out our website, where you can also leave us a review at wildmanandsteve.com.
That sounds like rock and roll to me.